Namaskara ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್. So this is our very first episode with Sudha Narayanan ma'am, founder of Charlie's Animal Rescue Center in Bangalore. She's a retired income tax officer, who started an animal rescue center back in 2013. In today's episode, you get to know about, how challenging it is to run an animal rescue center which has, 500 plus animals. This episode is for all the animal lovers out there. I'm pretty sure this conversation will be fun and knowledgeable for you all. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Yeah, so someone who doesn't know about you, ma'am, how do you introduce yourself?
Okay, I always say I'm Sudha Narayanan. I'm Charlie's mom, and I'm the founder trustee of Charlie's Animal Rescue Center, very popularly called CARE in Bangalore, and we are now one of the biggest animal welfare NGOs in the city.
So I heard that, you have close to 550 dogs and cats and, other animals over here. That's really amazing. And how did you start this exactly, ma'am? Like from where and when?
Oh, Shashank, it's a very long story. And my journey with animals started about 31 years ago. I don't know if you were even born then, but it was a very tough time in Bangalore city. And when I joined animal welfare and was guided also by Mrs. Menaka Gandhi, then I was part of CUPA. Finally, in December 2012, you have all these ideas brimming in your mind. You're full of ideas about what you want to do. And my focus was mainly on trauma care for street animals because Bangalore didn't have this dedicated trauma center for injured and sick street animals. What happens to them when they fall ill? There is just no place for them to go. And that was my dream, that I want to start that. And that's how it all started in 2013, my journey with CARE. And calling it Charlie's Animal Rescue Center is another story in itself because it leads us to Charlie, my son, who is no more. He passed away in 2017. But he was this dog that changed all our lives, actually. And when we got together to start an NGO, the first thing you need to do is, what can you call yourself? Because you need a name. And when we looked at each other, there were 5 of us. All of us were related to Charlie. Mom, doctor, this, that, aunt and everything. So we decided to dedicate whatever we do to CARE to Charlie's. That's why we call it Charlie's.
Also, I heard that you were into a different, league altogether before starting CARE. Just tell about it.
Yeah, I mean, what was I doing with my rest of my life, my professional life? I was a very senior officer in the income tax department, and even today, like everyone asks me, how do you link the two? They're two totally different things, but it was a life that also gave me financial strength and the confidence to do this. And it was a very nice job, actually. I mean, I have to admit that they were very, very supportive. I had principal chief commissioners and chief commissioners who were so happy with the work I was doing. And in fact, what they would do is they would take, paper cuttings every day if some animal thing happens. They would take a cutting of that and bring it to me and say, Sudha, did you see this? Do something about it. So I realized how much the movement has also spread just because you're doing that. But then ultimately, see, you have to do justice to something in your life. I couldn't be balancing both. And when, the department started growing, demonetization and so many things happened, I knew I had to give more over there and I would neglect this. But that's a job that anybody can do. And here with animals, I know what I'm doing and I'm confident of what I'm doing. So I wanted to do that. And that's why I just gave it up one day.
That's really, nice to hear that, I heard that, it took VRS or something just to start CARE and be a part of this.
Yeah, I took VRS. It was a very tough decision because if you are not strong financially or if you are not strong mentally also, then there's nothing you can give animals. You can't head an organization. You can't do anything for them. So it took me a year when I made that decision that, yes, this is it. I'm quitting and I'm doing work for animals. It took me a year to balance my finances and mentally also, every day you wake up, you have a purpose, you go to the department. But you have to wake up in the morning and realize like you don't have a job anymore. It is not easy. Believe me, it's not easy. So it took a year and finally, yes, it's been a good decision.
Okay, so I also come across to your Instagram page. So wherein we see, a lot of animal abuse, dogs rescued. So how do you handle such animals, ma'am? Because one thing I heard, what I know is, they'll be in trauma, state of trauma.
Yeah.
So what do you do, getting them here and, because there are a lot of other dogs here as well. So how do you take care of such dogs?
Yeah, Shashank, that's a very pertinent question because animal abuse, I don't know if it has grown from when I started or awareness is much, much more. And what we started off with one animal cruelty officer, we have 2 now, and Anil is one of our animal cruelty officers now. And it is very difficult to deal with these cases, because mentally it is so traumatic for an animal lover to see how an animal has been abused, and you wonder, like, are these really human beings? We are human beings. We have been given the power of, to know what is good and bad. Unlike animals who don't have that, they can't differentiate between that. They just do things which they think is right. And when we don't exercise that power to do good by anybody, whether it's a human or an animal, then it is very difficult. So they come to us in a very, very bad condition, completely traumatized mentally and physically. Even sometimes if the physical abuse is not that much, mentally they are it's so difficult, because they won't even allow you to touch them. They won't allow you to stroke their head or, say something kind to them, because they feel that when you go near them, you are going to abuse them, because that's the only life they have known. And we work on them, both physically, of course, our vets do that. Mentally, what we do is we give them a lot of love and confidence. Every day we are with them, reassuring them, even if they don't want us, even if they bite, even if they're aggressive, slowly we break down that defense of theirs and reach across to them. There are other animals around here, lots of animals. For them, sometimes it is traumatic to hear all the dogs barking and to be in that kind of atmosphere. But I have found out in all my years of experience that ultimately it is only the other animals around them, the other dogs, that help them blend back and get back into their original life. And that's the beauty and power of animals. The love they give each other is something, you can't even put a finger on it. It's not even tangible, but it's there.
Okay. So also, ma'am, I heard, there are a lot of therapy dogs, which you train them. Like, how do you, transform something, an animal into a, therapeutic, probably being? Because, people tend to spend more time with their animals if they're, staying home or, coming out here. How do you train them to, be a therapy dog or something?
Actually, every pet that you have is a therapy for yourself. But there are special dogs, especially we'd be looking more at dogs than cats. Because dogs have that power to give unlimited love. When you just, your own dog, if you just call its name or you just enter the house, you might have gone out for 5 minutes, but the way it behaves, it's like as if 1 year it hasn't seen you, the dog hasn't seen you. So that love, we take it and use it for people, a certain cross-section of people who have a huge void in their lives and who need that extra love. For example, it could be children with disabilities. It could be terminally ill, cancer patients, like that. Or it could be old people. It could be orphanages, anywhere where they need extra love. So that we translate into love by taking a dog for therapy. But how do you select a dog for therapy? I would say that we have 102 shelter dogs over here.
Okay.
But I can only count 2 or 3 of them as therapy dogs. Now, a therapy dog has to be a dog that can take that. See, when you take a dog for therapy, say to a specially able child, a child with disabilities, the dog absorbs the pain and anguish of the child or of the terminally ill patient or it could be an orphan or an old age people, anything that they have. The dog absorbs it and gives back love in return. So the dog has to be strong enough to withstand that, physically strong, and also have the thing like, the temperament that even if like the child pulls a tail or hits the dog by chance, because they can do that, they're children, they don't know what they're doing, or falls on the child or anything like that, the dog should be calm, patient and not react at all, because you cannot have an accident with a therapy dog. So to evaluate that, there are certain things like, you surprise them from behind and you see their reaction. You do tend, you mock pulling a tail or catching it suddenly. And if the dog doesn't react and it does that for about 3-4 times with different people, then the dog is ready for therapy.
Okay, so basically you're telling, a therapy dog is a dog which has, maximum amount of patience.
Absolutely, Shashank. Absolutely.
So also, how difficult is it to maintain the whole shelter as a whole? Because, I myself, I have a dog at home. Sometimes I find it difficult, even though the dog is completely fine, because most of the dogs which we see here are, wounded or probably, under treatment. All such cases. So how do you take care of the whole shelter as a whole?
I don't know. I still don't know how I do it, but I can just say one thing, and that is that I have fabulous staff. And I couldn't be where I am. I couldn't have done any of this without my co-trustees and my staff, and especially my staff. I mean, my trustees are really my strength, but my staff every single day. And what I want to add here, Shashank, is that if you look at my staff, you will find none of them are old. All of them are young. All of them are in their 20s, hardly 30, And these children have dedicated their lives to animal welfare. And for me, that is the biggest gift that I could get, that they have, be with me on my journey here. And what we do is there are two things. You have the trauma unit. Dealing with that requires your veterinary care. So we put in the best of care, veterinary care to them. We give them, a lot of love, reassurance, the best of medical aid. And then they get strong enough, and it is easier to manage them because it's just a matter of getting well and then going back. The difficult side is actually the other side of the shelter, which has animals that live with us. All of them have undergone some trauma or the other, and that's why they're here. And they need that extra love. So me and my staff, what we do is we spend maximum time with them. In the end, they want your company. They want physical love from you. They want to be spoken to in kind, reassuring tones. They want to know that you're there. They need to see you all the time, and they need to be there with you. And that's something me and my staff do, and that's how we're able to keep our little flock together.
Okay. So also, ma'am, which was the toughest rescue which the rescuer have done, and probably for you to take care of the dog or probably the animal which was rescued from an accident or from animal abuse or from a trauma. So I know there might be a lot of cases, but which one is the most difficult one?
I really can't put a finger on any difficult case. All the cruelty cases have been very, very traumatic, very, very difficult to look after, because when you see them and then you can't even approach them, and then you have to make them come around to your, to become normal animals again. It's been very difficult. But in my shelter animals who were rescued, I wouldn't say they're difficult. I would say game changer dogs for me would be my railway pups, Pongo and Beer. So Pongo was found on the Kyarpuram. She was crossing the Kyarpuram railway track when I think we assumed that one of her paws got caught in the track, and she was trapped, and the train came and ran over both her hind legs. Now just imagine your situation when you're lying on the track and a train has run over both your hind legs. The pieces of your leg are lying over there and you don't know what to do. There's nobody in sight, no one to help you. You're just crying. She's bled very badly and rolled down the embankment and come outside I think she's fallen outside the station. And she's lain there for a day or two till somebody saw her and called us. And, we were expecting the worst, and it was very bad to see the hind legs stump with necrosed tissue, smelling like anything. And when we went and picked her up and brought her here, what was so endearing and so touching, Shashank, was that she was wagging her tail. Can you imagine the immense pain she's going through? But she was wagging her tail, and she kept licking our faces as if to encourage us, yes, keep doing this and save my life, because I'm there with you.
I think I met that.
You must have met her. She's always trotting around over here. And, to see that and to think that here's a little dog. And what is this courage? And we cry for everything. So just whenever I'm down and out, I look at her, and there's Veer. Hardly a few days later, we got a call from another person at, I think it was near Veeranapalya, the track over there, that a train had run over both his front legs, and his head was also on another track, and another train was coming. So I don't understand people who take these videos and send it to us when they can actually save the dog. But we rushed there and we saved him, and he also came. Today he's like a little kangaroo without his front legs. But this combination of my railway pups, as I call them, is just the most beautiful thing that could have happened, because it's courage under adversity,
Yeah. Also, I heard certain cases wherein, you had to rescue dogs from airports, wherein, they leave their dog behind and, they move out of the country or whatever the reason might be.
Shashank, why people abandon dogs, I don't know, but Archie is our little golden boy. And you must have met Archie as soon as you come in, because he is the first thing that anybody who walks into care sees. He's this big golden retriever with a heart of gold. And it's so unimaginable that his family drove up in a car to BIL. And at T1, they open the car doors. They're speeding. They come, they open the car door, push him out and speed away. So he rolls out, and by the time he can even comprehend what is happening to him, he's alone in an airport with those noises, people, strange, everything. And then, of course, fortunately, we work with them. So they called us and we picked him up. And the surprising thing about it, we realized why they've abandoned him, because he has huge issues with his blood work. He keeps going into tick fever, frequent lapses of that. Slight renal issues are also there now, all that. But that's no reason to abandon your pet. And he just walked in and he took over the reception. He just realized, like, okay, this is it. Now I'm your chief PRO and I'm going to be here. All of you can just, report to me.
I think I met him,
Yes, you would have met him over there. Yeah.
So also, what message would you give, to the people who are ready to, adopt dogs or probably cats or any animal for that cases? What do you, say to them? Probably, a piece of advice from your end.
It would be like, see, I'm not against breeds because they are also dogs, they're animals. But when you live in a country like ours, where there are so many animals looking for a home, in shelters, or even sometimes on your road. But if you are very apprehensive about picking up a dog off the road and adopting it, you have so many animals in shelters in the city just waiting for a home, well looked after, vaccinated, sterilized, ready to go to a home. Cute pups who are absolutely delightful. What makes you go to a breeder where you don't even know what he's done with those, how he has bred them? It could be sibling breeding, even inbreeding, all kinds of things where you have no clue about what the future of that dog is. But what makes you do that? Is it like this thing that we Indians have for breeds? I mean, I think all over the world people love breeds. So, I mean, being seen with a designer bag or designer clothes is a fad that everybody has. So your dog should also be designer breed. Is that what is there in us, or are we normally very naturally gravitate towards that? But stop for a moment and think, what is special about a breed and your indie dog? They are the same thing in different packages. They're still the same love that a dog has, the same loyalty, the same whatever qualities you're looking for in a dog or a cat, it's always there. So look inside yourself and help save one life. That's all it is.
Okay, so when it comes to adoption, so what would you probably see? Certain people might adopt a dog or a cat. After some time, you find out that it's not being taken care well. So how do you analyze such cases or handle such cases?
We do a lot of hand-holding actually post-adoption. It's not just about, getting them adopted and then like, okay, you've got a pup, it's fine, it's nice. No, we handhold them for months together after the adoption. We keep calling them, first of all. We ask for videos, we ask for pictures. And one thing is we keep that line of communication open, Shashank, so that they don't feel like, oh my God, I can't go back to them. I don't want this dog, but I can't go back to them because they're going to really get angry with me or something. No, we say, if you don't want, bring back. Be honest. You can't handle it. We're not going to judge you. You may have your reasons for that. You bring it back. So that's one good thing that has always worked for us, because they get back to our adoption officer and we encourage them, like, if you can't do it, okay, fine, bring it back. We'll rehome the dog. But also we keep tabs on her. We keep full tabs on what they're doing and how the dog is. And if we look in the videos and see anything that could be, slightly not up to welfare standards, we would move in there and we would check them out physically and bring it back.
So, ma'am, so when you rescue a dog or a cat, so what sort of vaccination, measures you taken? Because, there are a lot of other dogs here as well. So how do you keep them aside, unless and until they're, what do you say? For example, if a dog is required for a vaccination, so how do you take care of such, cases?
That's a really good question, especially in the recent context, because what we have done is we have digitized everything. It's very difficult. I know, like, if you have Maxi over here, and then if I want to need to know when Maxi's vaccination was or when he was last dewormed, I will need to go back to his records, physical records. We maintain physical records for every single dog, cat that lives with us. And the medical. It is a huge effort. It's huge.
Okay.
The medical records are okay because they are under treatment and they are written every day till their discharge. But here with all these, even our little pigs, everybody, all of them have records, and whatever treatment has been done is there. But recently what we have done is GoChip Technologies from Canada. They tied up with us, and this project is spearheaded by Anil over here at CARE. And we have microchipped all the cats and dogs. So it's very easy with the microchip reader to read it on your phone as to, okay, now this one's Archie's vaccination is due or something else is due. So it's all available, and that's the only way. You have to move with the times. And if you want to look after them, and with 102 dogs and so many cats and all, if you really want to look after them well, you have to move with the times and you have to do your job well. So that's how we're able to keep tabs on this.
Okay, so when it comes to, dogs which are lost or probably cats which are lost, what sort of effort does it take to, reunite it with the owners in general?
Normally, we don't actually play a very active role in this. But the minute people reach out to us because they know that we are like a repository of information. A lot of people call us and say, I've seen this dog wandering around. I've seen a cat hiding over here. Can you do something? So we always ask for pictures. We try to match it and see, could this be a dog that was missing? and then we try to link them. But we also do one thing. We talk and counsel these people. We ask them to send us a poster. We put it on our social media where the reach is very high. And we send it out to all our volunteers also, the posters of the missing animals, so that we're able to network. And we try to, counsel them. Very often we have also helped out by joining the search teams. Because we do have a certain expertise in this area, so we help them out with that also.
So when it comes to volunteering here, so what is the procedure? If someone wants to volunteer here at CARE, so what is the procedure? What do you want them to be a part of?
We have, in fact, a very robust volunteering program, and we have almost, I think, 200, 300 volunteers registered with us, of which maybe about 50 to 60 are very active and come in every week. What basically was, when I joined animal welfare way back in the 90s, I didn't have anywhere to volunteer. And that stayed in my mind that you love animals, but you don't know where to go. There's no place that you can actually go and express that love for animals. And so that's why when I started CARE, I decided that I will do one thing, and that is I'll set up a place which is open for youngsters to come in. Because my selfish reason is that young people are this country's future. We are not greatly a very animal-friendly country. If 100 people, youngsters, come in here, see what we do, empathize with us, with the work that we do, and help animals, learn how to work with animals hands-on. It is very easy to go on Google and read about animals and say that it's very nice, but to come here, feel their pain, touch them and feel their pain and know what they went through, then you've created at least one bunch of kind people, which will take the country forward. So we have a good program. You can register online, you go through an orientation session, and then after that you start volunteering. You give your option as to when you can volunteer, and it's completely like it's voluntarily. So you can come on the weekends, or if you would like to come on the weekdays, we are open to that also. You can work hands-on with the animals. You can run campaigns for us. You can do adoption campaigns. You can help in passive adoption. Most people want to work physically with the animals. You can help in rescues. You can join any of our teams. So there's a lot of work that we throw it open for them.
Okay. Also, recently I saw a reel from your page wherein, one of your rescuer, I think Anil or Kirtan, I guess. So they had to rescue a cat which was stuck in 13th or 14th floor, and they climbed the apartment, from outside, and they rescued it. Can you tell us more about it, such rescues, such risky rescues?
Yes, very risky. Believe me, Shashank, every time Anil especially and Kirtan go out on a rescue, they don't know, but my heart is in my mouth till I hear from them. And that's why I think they think this nagging mother of ours, always calling and saying, where are you? What are you doing? Because those children are my responsibility also. I know. And I have to tell you a little bit about both of them, is that, I'm so proud of them, really proud of them, because the things they do for animals is so amazing. Like, of course, they're very professional, and I have seen that in both of them. Like, if there's a cat caught outside, say, and they don't just barge in with bravado and rescue the cat. No. Each rescue is so well planned. They look at this angle, the other angle. What would they do? Like, what would the cat do if we approach it from inside? If we approach from inside and it ran away, it would fall down to its death. If we approach it from outside, we have a better chance of trapping the cat and saving its life. It's risky. Okay. But the thing is, they've both done good courses in, climbing, in knots and everything. And Anil also is a accredited rescuer. So that way he knows, he's done rescues before. He's done mountaineering, climbing, all that. So that's a big advantage that we have. And that's why this team is really the crack specialist team. So that cat, they could not be accessed from inside because that particular owners of the apartment were not there and it was locked. And there was no way you could wait for them to come, because by the time if the cat chose to, take that dive down, and being a cat mom, I know how foolish they can be at times, stupid and foolish. And that would have happened, that we would have lost a life. So it was with a lot of effort. And I'm happy to say that that particular post on Instagram went so viral that our Care Force team was much appreciated. So they're actually like two superheroes, and I have seen a lot of people who come in and say, can we meet them? Can we take a photo with them and all that? So it's nice.
Thanks to Anil, he was the one, who kept us in touch, regarding all set up.
He's always been saying that we need to do more.
So also, I saw one more, post wherein, a dog was stuck in a very small gap, in a very narrow pathway. So in such cases, I think, they had to, break the wall on the other side and, rescue the dog. How do you convince the, people around the, rescue side or,
It's very difficult because people will say, why do you have to do it for a dog?
Exactly.
But you could be very lucky where the owner of that building also feels I think it's when you're around there at the site and you see the dog struggling and its cries of help were so, terrible that nobody could have said no to breaking it down. And we also offer to build it up again. And we know that we would always look for a sponsor to help them repair it. We don't just say that we'll break it and walk away. No, we always say that we will help you do it. 90% of the time people say, please don't do that. We will do that. So little we can do for you. But sometimes we are open to helping them set it up again. So it's just the way you approach people. If you're going in there and you're shouting and saying that I'm going to do this and that, nobody will be with you. But if you approach them and impress on them the agony that the animal is going through and how important the time factor is to rescue it out from there, then people do listen. People do still have that compassion in them.
I think in recent, I think 4 years ago, people were more interested into adoption and, having a pet at home during this COVID. So how did that affect, when it comes to animal abuse, or probably they might not take care of the animal so well because they'll not be knowledgeable enough regarding taking care of it. I think during staying home during that lockdown and everything, they were passionate about having a pet at home. So what do you say about such cases?
You're right, because at that time our adoption rate was very high. In fact, during COVID times, we have actually, because nobody could come here, we used to send them videos and they would show us a video of their house and we would send the animal over there, the dog over there, and then, see how their house is, all that. It was very nice. COVID finished and, everyone got back to their lives and suddenly they realized, I think it's a kind of, COVID taught us a bit of selfishness, that protect yourself and your family first. Everything becomes secondary because I know so many families, so many members were wiped out. Everyone has been through so much tragedy. It may be normal, but it's definitely not good for the animal because abandonment was at its highest post-COVID. Lots and lots of animals were abandoned, pets were abandoned. We also went through a lot of abandonment at that time and our adoption rates dropped drastically because whatever resources you had, you were saving it for your family, you and your family. A pet or an animal didn't come into the scheme of things. But it's changing now. The circle is changing again.
Wow.
And things are slowly picking up, which is a positive sign.
Okay. So when it comes to, treatment, ma'am, I've been to the, the ICU operating unit and everywhere. So how well equipped are you, when it comes to treatment for the animals which are rescued and all such cases?
I would say we are the best.
Okay.
Because we have the best equipment and most of the equipment that an animal under trauma care needs, we have it. And that has happened over the last, it's been now 11 years of care. So I would say over the last 7 years, we work very diligently. We are always update with new equipment coming into town. And it helps to have a very accomplished vet of the city as one of your co-trustees. Dr. Lohit is my co-trustee. He runs 2 of the biggest animal hospitals in Bangalore. So he is very updated with new equipment. So he's always goading me into, would you like this for these animals? And once I set my eyes on something for them, like for a long time, it was our underwater veterinary treadmill. Now that's a piece of magic because
yeah, I've seen it.
It's if you're partially paralyzed, and if you normally would just leave that dog to, live whatever the rest of its life. But this treadmill has helped them walk again and go back to their life also. So you just want it, and then you're fundraising. You're literally begging people to give it to you.
Yeah, my next question was, regarding the fundraising part.
Yeah.
So, how difficult it is, to raise funds because, handling close to 500 plus animals, including dogs, cats, and, other animals as well. How difficult is it for you to raise funds at times,
Extremely difficult. Very, very difficult. Given the context that we live in, that, for example, if you look at the UN Sustainable Goals, Sustainable SD goals that the UN puts out every year, which is the benchmark for CSR activity for any company, then animal welfare still doesn't even figure. Even last year, with a lot of disappointment, we saw that animal welfare doesn't figure in the SD goals of the UN. But our country, fortunately, in the amended CSR Act, where the Companies Act is there, they have included the animal welfare as a very important part of, activity. So, from last year onwards, even companies are looking at animal welfare as one of the things that they should fund. So that's one step in the right direction. But it is still very difficult because you always rank way, way below women's welfare, children's welfare, priority for education. That sector is always much more important. I can understand that also because the population is so big and the population that requires help is also very big. But we are also a very important part of welfare, and animal welfare should be given much more importance. So that makes it very difficult for us to raise funds, to go to somebody and raise funds. And I have this question asked to me always, why don't you help children instead? And I say, why not? Why not animals? There are so many people to help children. If you take 100 charity people who are working with charity, there'll only be one person in animal welfare.
Exactly.
99 will be working for humans. And whatever I personally feel that if you look at all the welfare people in the country, everyone has made huge differences. Everyone has made that kind of difference. So,
Yeah. So my next question, ma'am, I've seen another post of yours wherein, your rescuers, they were inside a drainage, the bigger ones, wherein a dog was, finding it difficult to cross it. And it was raining heavily also. So what do you say about such rescues?
I feel like people should also be more aware of what's happening. The case was reported to us, and yes, we went in and risked our lives and saved the dog, both Anil and Kirtan, but and the other staff. But the thing is, like, if this had come to us maybe before it all happened, or if there was awareness among the people to cover drains, to cover these kind of holes where animals fall into, that would make it more simple for us. But also that if people keep their ears and eyes open. Like you see, we sit in the shelter. Even our Care Force rescue team sits in the shelter and waits for a case to come. We are not out there scouting for cases. But public are our eyes and ears. And if you keep those eyes and ears open, no one's asking you to jump into the drain and do it because it's very risky. And don't ever do it unless you're trained. But if you see that, do it, report it immediately. What happens is, oh, it's only a dog in a drain and you tend to go by. Don't do that.
Okay.
Whatever you may think that is, may be risky to the life of the animal, take a photo, take a video, location, send it to us. We are there, we can act, because it's quite probable that sometimes we are not able to save the life because we are too late. Fortunately, in these cases, we've been able to go there, but the rescue has become more difficult because the situation has compounded due to the time lag in reporting to us. So that's what we appeal to people, like, join us in our efforts. Help us save these animals only by reporting to us. Call our numbers, send us the video, call us and immediately tell us that this is happening. Then, we can do a better job.
Okay. So when it comes to, overcrowding issue, I don't know if you have faced it in the past, or, do you have, sufficient spaces to accommodate dogs and, more animals into a shelter, or like, what is your limit, as in taking in animals, or, sending in them to adoption or something like that?
I think shelters all over the world have this universal problem of overcrowding, because especially in a country like ours, the numbers are huge. Like if you look at the helpline, I think if we receive 20 calls of distress, we can do 6 in a day. What happens to remaining? They just lie over there or somebody else has to pick them up. Same way, when you see after the 6th one has come in and your space is completely full, if you start taking in out of like, okay, it is out of kindness, and you say, no, let's accommodate, another 5 won't make a difference. Today another 5, tomorrow another 4. What you are compromising is on the quality of life and treatment that you're giving the animals with you. Overcrowding doesn't really help either the animal inside or the animal outside. So it's always better to do, quality is always important, because these are animals who are under severe stress, severely injured, requiring surgery. You need to schedule a surgery, you need to do so many things. See, and your staff can only work this much. The more you overwork them, that physical tiredness and mental fatigue will show on the quality of work that they do with the animals. So again, your animal is compromised. So we do when we are overcrowded, when we are full up and we still see an animal which really requires that kind of help, we will push aside everything and make some space for it. But generally, we try to keep our space, optimum, and see to it that whoever is there with us gets the best kind of treatment. It's a very difficult decision for a welfare person to take, because when you do welfare, like me, you've given up your life for welfare, you want to help as many as possible. But over the years, with maturity and with experience, you realize that overcrowding is something that we are all facing every single day, and we should draw a line somewhere.
Okay. Also, when it comes to assessment, ma'am, so basically if you're taking in an animal, a rescue animal, so vaccination is a must. Apart from that, what sort of other assessment do you conduct for the animal?
See, if it's an abandoned animal, then it's different. Then a blood work is done to see why was it abandoned.
Okay.
Very often it has huge issues of illnesses, so it is put into the treatment section till it completely cures. Vaccination starts around the same time, the vaccination schedule. All vaccines have like whether it's your combined vaccine or your anti-rabies, there are certain norms. For adult dogs, how do you do it? For puppies, there's a different schedule. Cats, there's a different schedule. So all that is adhered to very strictly. Records are maintained. And once the animal is fit for adoption, it's healthy enough, it is automatically moved to that adoption section where a lot of efforts are made to, socialize it, move it to, allow it to meet people and then, see whether they want it. But the same records are also maintained for the animals under treatment. So when the animal goes back to where it came from, it is accompanied, if the guardian wants a vaccination record, it is accompanied by the vaccination record. Because vaccine is the only thing that protects them from illnesses. Rabies, we are endemic to rabies, and rabies is fatal. There is no question of getting cured. It's a horrible illness.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing, and nobody should ever go through that.
So you do have a rabies center, right? If I'm not wrong.
We run the rabies helpline for the BBMP. So that's a service that actually we have given back to the city because the city has given us so much in terms of growth, in terms of support. So we felt that when the BBMP wanted to start a rabies helpline, because there is a thing, the concept that in 2030, Bangalore has to be rabies free. So with the National Association for Prevention of Rabies and all these organizations, I'm also on their committee. Our aim and goal is to make Bangalore rabies free by 2030. It's around the corner, and a rabies helpline is the only thing that can help, assess the number of cases that are out there. So we decided that we would do it for the city.
Okay, so when it comes to illness in dogs, so what is the most number of illness in dogs have you seen? Be it rabies or there are some allergies which I've seen in dogs as well. So what cases you find it quite often in rescues or probably abandoned animals or something like that?
I would say tick fever. Tick fever is the worst.
Okay, it's the highest one?
Yeah, it's the highest, and almost every animal, every dog goes through it. I would think more it comes to dogs more than cats. So everyone goes through it because it's one infected tick. And that tick could sit on the dog, bite this dog, go to another dog, and it could spread. And also, since they are at close proximity, it could just jump to the other dog. So, and all the dogs here they're not pet dogs. When a dog is inside your house, it has so much warmth, comfort, the best of food, everything, and it has that security. So its immunity levels are very high. It's not susceptible to generally things outside. Here, they are exposed to so many things. Even these dogs, the shelter dogs, are exposed to so many other things, So the immunity is definitely lower. And so an infected tick could attack them very thing. The blood platelets go down, hemoglobin goes down, the liver gets affected. So that's the worst. To tackle it is the worst.
Okay, so when it comes to, medical staff, ma'am, so how well are you equipped, number of doctors, be it the nurses, like as such?
We have a fabulous team. We have 3 vets.
Okay.
And we have 3 animal care people exclusively to care for the animals. We have somebody who runs the equipment, also the blood analyzer and the other things that we have. We have 3 or 4 very good paravets. These are attenders who have, learnt a lot of the medical stuff, veterinary stuff, so that they can assist the vets very professionally in surgeries or treatment. We have a very good team, a very spirited and dedicated team, who's I think whenever they see an animal coming in, they're so charged up to do their best for the animals. So,
okay. So apart from dogs and cats, what other animals are you having in your shelter, ma'am?
Oh, we have a collection of, I don't know what else. We have huge other animals.
A rough count on the species part.
We have terrapins. These are the red-eared sliders, which are exotic pet industry, a result of a fallout of that, where you see a little terrapin and it looks very cute and you take it home, and then it turns out to be these terrapins, the sliders are not to be actually used as pets because they belong in some other country. They're destructive. Then you don't want them anymore, so you throw them out. Then we have a lot of rescued roosters, hens, ducks. These are rescued either from places where they were being kept badly or from, shops where they were being sold for meat. We have goats.
Okay.
Very, very a cute collection of goats. One of them is Makbul. Makbul is deeply attached to my manager, Kirtan. In fact, there's a bond that, everyone says, oh, Kirtan, you found your partner in life in Makbul. It's literally like that. He just has to hear Kirtan's voice and but he is this big, boisterous goat that was being taken for slaughter, kept for slaughter actually.
Okay.
And there was this lady who herself had a child who was, suffering from some mental thing, and she was undergoing treatment. But she kept tabs on Makbul. Makbul is the gift of God, so she called him that. And she bought him off. She hardly had money, but she bought him off the butcher person and brought him to us. And now he's he's tough to handle. And then we have a lot of African pygmy goats.
Okay.
They were in another shelter, and due to a slight overcrowding, they came to us. They are very adorable. We have pigs. We have 3 pigs now. The youngest is Homer. He's a little blind piglet, and he runs around like a little,
I know.
little engine.
Last time when we were in the shelter, so we had a fun time with it.
With
We
it.
didn't know that it was blind.
Yeah.
So we were trying to catch it, and it was
No, he
impossible.
runs like a streak
I know.
of lightning. And we have Albert. Albert is the pig that you really want as your cuddle baby because he loves being cuddled. He loves being scratched.
Okay.
He loves being, petted, pampered, and very greedy also. And we also have Wilbur. Wilbur, I think his aim in life is, how can I dig my way to China? So he's always digging huge pits, and we are covering it, and back he goes digging again. And he's a very, very adorable pig, So like that, we have we have birds, budgies, finches, all that which were rescued from the pet shop industry by the government actually. They also stay with us. So it's a lot of animals.
Okay. So we are in our last segment, ma'am. So what do you want, to convey to our viewers when it comes to animal abuse or be it, adoption? So whatever it is, ma'am, it's your time.
Animal abuse and adoption, they all go together. So I just want to tell people something that it's so easy to be kind. I always say that. We all have kindness in us. We all have the cruel streak in us. All of us have it. It's a mixture that we have. What you bring out is what defines your personality. And to just do one small act of kindness, it could be to your sibling or your family member. The minute you do something good for anybody or your friend, you feel so good. So why can't you take that kindness and put it for an animal? What prevents you from, when you see them, I'm not saying that, like all of us who are crazy about animals, but just be kind. What stops you from being kind to them? It's so easy. And it gives you such a feel-good feeling. You'd want to do it again and again. And they are there with us. See, you can't wish them away. You can't say that my life is only human beings, that nobody else should be. No. We were created to have all of them around us, and they are part of our ecosystem. They are going to be there, be it your stray dog or be it the tiger in the forest. We take so much pride in going on safaris and screaming when we see a tiger, and we are so delighted. It's a moment of the day. They're all just animals. The dog is a similar animal, crying desperately for a place in society, just asking that, give me some respect. Don't love me. Just tolerate me. That's all it is. So why can't we do that? Is it so difficult? And when you start doing that, automatically you change. Your personality changes. You become a better person. And when you become a better person, then you can move into, how can I adopt? The first step comes like, how can I adopt? Why don't I just look after? Why don't I just feed this dog on the road? I seem to like it. It seems to like me. And then it develops into animal abuse. Why should I keep quiet? See, I've loved this dog on the road. I've started loving animals. I've started looking at them in a different way. So why should I keep quiet when I see abuse? I will report it. What does it cost to stop, stand for 10 seconds, take out your phone and take a video or the location of the place? Sometimes it's difficult for you to take a video of animal abuse because you are scared of what the other person will do. It's the location, it's the description. Send us a mail, send us a message to any animal welfare NGO in the city. And we will act on that promptly. It takes so little of your time, but it costs that animal's life. So you've saved a life. And it's such a fabulous feeling. How often do you get that feeling, So just be kind. Just be aware of what's happening around you with animals. Just let us know what's happening. That's all we are asking for.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, what are your views on, animal and human conflict? We see a lot of cases these days. What are your views on it?
It's happening a lot because like the cities are growing, everywhere villages are growing, everything is, we are populating ourselves and growing, especially in our country, talking in context of India. And we are moving further and further. Like, for example, if you look at Bangalore city, when I started welfare, Sarjapura was a village, which you couldn't even think about. Now it's part of the city. You have tech companies over there. It was like that. So same way with villages and forests, people are like encroaching into the thing because they want more grazing land. They want more, to go out there, firewood and all that. Earlier, they have lived in a nice symbiotic relationship with the jungle. But with more people moving in that side, you have more resorts coming up. You have more homestays and
farmhouses and other
far
things
more
like,
kind of development that side. And people are like, you're stressed over here. So if I have a homestay over there, I can go there and stay. We're all moving into those sides, taking over their spaces. Also, where does the animal go? A tiger, for example, has a huge territory. A single tiger has a territory.
Yeah.
Now, if he or she can't keep his territory intact, he moves out and starts taking over other territories. So he or she's moving into all elephants. They forage, they walk kilometers. They have to walk that many kilometers, eat that much of tons of green leaves in order to sustain themselves. If you are taking away their space, where do they go? A leopard for hunting. It needs to go that many, hunt, because that's the way it's built. You take all that away from them because we want everything, and then you blame them for retaliating. We are retaliating. We are killing them. We are putting electric fences which are so illegal. They're dying of that. We are building railway tracks in, national parks.
Yeah, I
Why?
think,
Because
recently...
we need to move.
Yeah,
we need to have a communication.
Yeah, we had this call, right? In Bandipur, they're planning to, build a railway track inside Bandipur. So we saw a lot of people, posting not to build that, against it and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're so sensitive to noise. If you go for a safari and you go like very dedicated and you drive through the jungle, what strikes you first is the stillness of the jungle.
Yeah.
Other than the birds, other than animal noises, there is nothing. They are not noisy. They are not talking all the time like us, or they're not doing that. They are beautiful creatures with a rigid lifestyle. And you go in there so you can imagine how sensitive they are. For one thing, they have to hear their prey. You have a train going by, and they could get run over by the train. That's another thing. The noise affects their whole system where they can't even hear their prey. So then what happens to them? There's so many little things, that go into their life that we're taking away from them. Why? Do we want a life without them anymore? Is that what our aim is? That one fine day, all our future generation will see is picture books with their pictures and say, no, I had seen it earlier, but this is how they look. Or soft toys, the way they look. Is that what we want now?
And also, I see a lot of, probably snake rescues happening inside Bangalore, probably in the city. There were 2 cases in my home as well. I have a pet at home. He's happy. He's a 4-year-old lab. So there was a Russell Viper which came twice near his enclosure. So we had to call a rescuer and get it rescued. So what are your views on such cases? There are a lot of reptiles moving in and around Bangalore. We can see it in the heart of the city as well. I saw a case wherein in one of the apartment which is in 5th floor in Malleshwaram, they had a snake skin shedded in their balcony. So I got to visit that place. I just investigated, and I see a huge jackfruit tree, and one of the branches leaning towards their balcony, and the snake is usually moving in and around that balcony, and that's how they found it out. So what are your views on it?
Again, it's the same thing. They had spaces.
Yeah.
And for a snake, see, the basic thing is when it is warm, it gets very warm. They want to move to a cooler space. And when it is very cold, they want to move to a warm space. So for a snake, maintaining its body temperature is a huge thing in its life.
Oh.
And that's what they keep trying to do. And when they don't have the space to move around freely, by and large, they will never come and attack you. They are not creatures that, the minute they see you, they come, like you have in these horrible serials and movies, Nagin variety things and all, where they come and take revenge. I'm so sorry. They don't do anything like that. They're just poor things trying to live a life by themselves, And when you take away that space, where they have no cool space or they have no warm space, where does it go? So they look inside at us. For example, I'll tell you where we are today. Earlier, it was all empty.
Okay.
So we had a lot of, they were very comfortable out there. We didn't have too many things happening. Now we have a lot of them coming in over here looking for warmth. So you find them regularly in care itself, searching for this place. And then, of course, for rats, we put garbage everywhere. We dump all kinds of things. Rats come. So they come in search of rats. And that's how they're there inside our houses also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, for being a part of, our talk show. It's our honor, to have you here. So hoping for another episode sometime soon. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Shashank. It was entirely my pleasure because I think the questions were also just what I wanted to say.
Okay.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.